Poland is seeking an extension of the state of emergency along its border with Belarus as the deaths of migrants there draw criticism. Poland is seeing an uptick in border crossings as thousands of migrants from the Middle East try to enter the country. The Polish government is accusing Belarus of helping migrants cross the border in retaliation against sanctions put in place by the European Union. So an article written for Foreign Policy breaks all of this down. And the author of that article is Tomasz Grzywaczewski, and he joins us now to talk more about this situation. Tomasz, thank you so much for joining us. So, this is something that's happening that I think we are not really sort of clued into here in the U.S. So I'm really glad that we're kind of shining a spotlight on it. And I want to ask you to start things off by sort of giving us the lay of the land. What's happening? Countries like Poland are accusing Belarus of helping migrants cross the border. Migrants are coming to Belarus and then getting into Poland. What's happening?
Good morning. Thank you very much for your invitation. First of all, I would like to emphasize that the migrants who are trying to enter not only Poland, but as we can see also Lithuania and Latvia, Baltic states, are brought to this border by Belarusian authorities, by Belarusian secret services. As you can see from the map, there is no border between Belarus and Middle Eastern countries or African countries from where the migrants are coming. So as far as we know right now, there is a clandestine operation called the Log going, and Belarusian secret services are bringing migrants mainly from Iraq, but not only from Iraq, taking them to Minsk. Afterwards, they are transporting them to the borders with Poland and earlier with Lithuania, and pushing them across the border to the territory of Poland, Lithuania, and of course to the territory of European Union, because I would like also to stress that this is not only Polish border, but this is the border of entire European Union and also a border of NATO. So in fact, this is not some kind of crisis, migrant crisis that appeared spontaneously. It was well planned, organized, and conducted by regime in Minsk and also by regime in Russia, because currently you cannot say that the Minsk is doing something alone. Lukashenko is fully dependent on Kremlin. So this operation must have been at least accepted by Moscow. So as Polish government claims, and I can agree with this statement, what is happening right now on a Polish border is a hybrid attack against the European Union.
So just so people to clarify, essentially, these are desperate people leaving Afghanistan that are being used as pawns. And to remind people the situation in Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko has sort of proudly called himself the last dictator in Europe. And one of the few allies that he has is, of course, in Moscow. So the result here, though, is a little bit of a humanitarian crisis. This is a very challenging area of land, the area between Poland and Belarus. It's a challenging area to live. The weather is bad, and some of these migrants are finding them sort of caught in this no man's land where Belarus is saying, okay, go on, and Poland is saying, well, you can't come here, and they have no place to go and no resources. Can you talk about kind of the little kind of humanitarian crisis that is brewing in this area?
Of course, the most terrifying aspect of the situation is that these migrants, these helpless people, are used as a weapon against the European Union by regime in Minsk. I would like also to remind that this is a real sinister regime, which is beating, torturing, and arresting its own citizens. I was last year in Belarus. I was talking with Belarusian people tortured by regime. So this is a real dreadful authoritarian regime in Minsk, and it uses as I mentioned, the innocent helpless people. Probably, as far as we know, also Belarusian secret services gave them drugs, methadone. It is very strong opioid, telling these people that it's going to help them survive in the harsh conditions because the fall is coming to Poland, so the temperatures at night are around 5 to 10 degrees, and they are going to be even lower in oncoming weeks. As far as I know, today Poland start to send text messages saying to people on the Polish border, still Belarusian authorities told you lies. Go back to Minsk. Don't take any pills from Belarusian soldiers. So, in fact, but of course, there are also migrants who manage to enter the Poland, and they are detained by Polish border guards, and they are taken to special, maybe it's a prison. It's rather like detainee center, and there they are interrogated and checked. We learned a few days ago that around 20% of them have had some connections with Russian authorities. They also might be taught by Russian secret services. So this is another aspect of this situation. So right now it's not yet a humanitarian crisis, but there is a risk of humanitarian crisis. But I want to stress that the responsibility for this crisis, also for people dying there on the border, is not on Warsaw or Brussels or European Union. The full responsibility goes to Minsk and to Russia, which, as I mentioned, planned and meticulously implemented this operation using hopeless people as a weapon against European Union. It is something absolutely unforgettable, in my opinion, and it shows the real cruel face of Minsk and Kremlin.
So at the end of the day, though, expecting Belarus to sort of change the strategy right now, that's not going to happen immediately. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen immediately. So what about the European Union? The Union has pledged to support Afghan migrants in the best way they can. What is the European Union saying? Why are they assisting Poland with this? What's going on there? I think we've lost him, which is really here we go. We got you back.
Yeah. Okay. I saw that the connection was unstable. Thank you very much. I would like to add that most of the migrants on the border are not Afghans. Of course, there are some people from Afghanistan, but definitely they are not the ones who fled Afghanistan after the fall of Kabul. So there are some Afghans, but most of the migrants came from Iraq, but also African states. Right now, the European Commission is supporting Polish and Baltic states' position towards the crisis, so sealing the border. On the other hand, the European Commission says that the humanitarian crisis must be prevented. Of course, the situation is difficult, and I think there is no one good solution. But in my opinion, unfortunately, the border must stay sealed because, and this is the real threat, that if European Union let migrants coming from Belarus, it might encourage Russia to conduct even bigger operation, opening the corridor from Afghanistan to Belarus, enabling people from Afghanistan escape to European Union. And European Union learned from year 2015 and 16, where around 1 million of people came mainly to Germany, And the lessons that were learned is that it is impossible for European Union to admit all people coming. So that's why I think right now the position of the European Union is much more harder, and the European Union is just trying to, as I mentioned, keep the borders sealed. Unfortunately, the ones who are paying the highest price are innocent people which believe in the lies of Minsk, because Minsk are saying that these people come to Minsk and you will go to European Union, you will go to Germany, because the German is the final aim. You need to also remember that Polish is not so rich country, it's not the final destination. The final destination is Germany. So the people believe in that, and finally they find themselves on the border, sealed border, that they cannot cross, and that they are just a munition for authoritarian regime. But as I mentioned, I think that the only way is trying to saying no, we cannot let you in, because we only encourage regime in Minsk to conduct this operation. But me myself, I am terrified seeing people who are dying on the border because they believe in the lies of Lukashenko regime.
All right, Tomasz, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. These are amongst the most desperate people who have already faced many, many challenges to get where they are right now. This is the last thing that they need, but we appreciate the conversation. Thanks.